Hi, my name is Emmy, and my business is Emmy Wellness. And the kind of coach I am is an executive leadership coach. And that's me. It's such a wonderful question to ask. What is my journey, and how does that impact my being a coach? I do believe that one of the major impulses for me to get into coach training and to become a coach and to help others on their journey is that I've had great success. I've stood in the face of adversity with with that windshield of life right in front of me and being the first in on a big idea and having all of the bugs, mosquitoes, and everything get stuck to that windshield when nobody was around to wipe it off and say, okay, you got it, you can go for it. I've won the medals, I have gotten the awards, been first in with a lot of different ideas and concepts that I just felt so passionately about when perhaps the rest of society was not yet up to speed. Being a first inner is not always the most comfortable position. Um, I was compensated well, and there were other times that because our culture, whether it was in the beauty industry, not having the aperture that was wide enough to be more inclusive with arrays and color of skin or body shape or size. My life as a influence, not an influencer, but an advocate for women, has never ever wavered. And whether it's someone with the germination of an idea, uh, or an executive with a really big idea, I have the experience of great success as well as the failures underneath my belt, teaching me what worked and did not work to help influence the questions that I could ask. And I've been on the stage with thousands and thousands of people, lecturing around the country and the world, and been on CNN, continue to be on national television, communicating the advocacy that I have, whether it's about beauty, women's issues, rights, and also the importance of sustainability in our world. There's a few, not a lot. There's a few issues that I stand very firmly about and can talk to millions of people calmly and effectively. And I do believe that kind of experience with me being a coach, your coach, um, could lend itself beautifully to whatever idea, concept, or issue that you're dealing with, where I could really hold the space for you in a compassionate and vulnerable way for you to succeed. I feel like I've always been coaching. At least people will call me for advice, and it's not exactly counseling that I would do, but it was more mentorship. And when the pandemic hit, I was holding 90 days on Instagram Live, reading all these really incredibly and inspiring books. And I was reading Brene Brown's book Dare to Lead. And the group that I had for 90 days, we were all just hanging in there and asking questions. It was an hour that we would be together. And while we were reading Dare to Lead, something started ticking and, hitting my heart. Like, how do you want to lead? Okay, that's great that you're sharing that with everybody else, but how do you want to lead? And the modeling has been incredible in my life. The work in activism has been so fulfilling, and the work with the body to, help women come together with their bodies as their, best friends and a beautiful relationship. And I thought, with 30 years of life and the ups and downs in my career and all that insight, I could really help coach our leaders of today and future leaders of tomorrow to go for it, whatever that it might be. And I said, well, I I guess I could hang my shingle out, and then I started saying, "Wait a minute, would I go to a coach without being certified, without, if the person was highly recommended, but they didn't have accreditation?" And so I went on the journey and looked into, all the different courses and classes and the length of time and cost, and there are a lot. There are a lot of schools out there. And I said, "Well, I really wanna do the highest of the high, the gold standard, and I've gotta find a class system that will have different courses." I wanna go into, like, executive leadership. I wanna go into wellness. I'm very into nature and yoga and eating well and, organically and all that. So I said, "It's gotta kind of dovetail together." And when I found Coach Training EDU, everything fell into place, and I really enjoyed Wellness 1.0. I'm in Wellness 2.0 now. I just finished my executive leadership training, so I am now a coach with the school, which is great. And I'm going for my PCC, and I feel like I'm getting a lot of tools in my tool belt. I feel very equipped. With the practice clients that I have, my front face on Emmy Wellness is that I'm a body image expert. I'm a coach for women, but I have divorced dads with children. I have international clients. I have clients of business. I have males, I have females. I have different variety of ages from 26 to in their 60s. So I'm found that I was very well prepared to to listen, to be patient, to trust myself, trust in the client to be their own experts, which was great and relieving, and then to trust in the whole process of what we've been trained. So what I was looking for and how I fell into this whole wonderful world of coaching, I my expectations have been um, blown away. I learned so much about myself. I didn't expect that. That was the sneaky thing. And it was great because the more that I could peel back my own onion and dig in and see what was triggering something or what a belief that I had from when I was very young. Do I need that anymore or can I adjust it a little bit? Gosh, that was just so great. I mean, to have that permission. So I'm very happy that I chose coaching and that I'm so thrilled to be able to be that support for leaders in lives, whether it's in business, whether it's in personal lives, whether it's on the professional athletic field, whether it's in the corporate boardroom. I see myself doing all different kinds of coaching where I'm going to be on Zoom calls and when we can break out of all this, kite surfing with my client. I see that happening. It's going to be, it's really exciting now. So I can't wait for what's going to happen tomorrow. So my coaching business right now, while I'm in school, is I am looking to have my 500 hours for my professional PCC accreditation with the International Coaching Federation through the classes, of course, with Coach Training EDU. So I am bartering. I am getting paid clients, and right now that's where it's at. And the beauty of not being uh, I'm not stretched too thin, but I have quite a few clients. I did a bunch of my clients pro bono to start with, and the clientele that I have is very diversified. So we were told in the business part, the biz builder, get specific and really narrow in on who your clientele is. And on the other side, in classes, it's like, guess what? We're training you to be professional listeners and understanding nuances and emotion and to leverage your background to ask certain questions. And that just opens me up to have, potentially having clients that are professional athletes, to having executives in business, having CEOs of the household, entrepreneurs. I have a bunch of entrepreneurs that are looking uh, to get investment for their idea, and they're nervous. So, and the age range is 26 into the 60s. I was shocked about that, actually. So I'm happy that if someone mentions, "Oh, I'm going through a hard time," and they might know me, they say, "Oh, why don't you call Emmy? You know, she's coaching these days." And if there are a couple people that are friends, so when you're with a friend, you're like, "You should do this and you should do that." And then as a coach, I warn them. I'm telling you right now, I'm putting on a hat called coach, and you don't know me very well because this is a whole new relationship. And we've had to do a little bit like, well, what do you think about this? Well, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? And I go, are we going to play this game? Because I'm going to win. This is your time. So it's so much fun. And at the end of it, especially when somebody puts their hands up and says, I don't know. I don't know what to say. I don't know about what's going on in my life. And I know that they're the experts in their life. And I get to pull out some of the tools that I've learned on how to open up that flower or open up that issue and allow them to lead me where they want to go. But we do know what we want. And it's so nice to be able to be the witness of that incredible journey from the beginning of a session to the end of the session. And if you have multiple sessions, to have that nice overreaching idea of what you're looking for. And man, every single session either can be aligned with that mission or it can be completely different. But at the very end, you ask, so how did that all relate to the initial impulse to call me? It always ties up. It's really beautiful. I look forward to coaching women around the world, in the United States and around the world, um, to not be afraid to blossom, to hold their vision from creation of the vision to the building steps of the vision to the completion of the vision that will lead them yet to the next step once again as a creator. And we're in 2020 and it feels like there is just new energy. And here we are in a pandemic. A lot of people have had a lot of time to think, what is it that makes me tick? What is it that I'm doing that makes me feel good? And what is it that needs a bit of an adjustment? So the vision that I hold is that I get the opportunity to help reignite. It's not igniting someone's inner magnificence, it's reigniting. I think we're just born into this world with magnificence, and then whatever happens in our life, we all have all these interesting wild lessons, teachers in our life to tell us what that's wrong, that's right. And we believe until we get to a certain age, and then we go, do I believe in that still, or does that still serve me? I love having that opportunity to help people kind of free themselves from that cloak of expectation or that guilt and shame. Just take off that jacket, and now let's see how that feels. Now what do you want to do? So that vision to help people reignite that inner magnificence in themselves is going to be fun. I want my work to be fun. I want it to be a symbiotic relationship with clients where it's not like, oh, I've got to go to work. Mm-mm. I want to be able to do this work with my computer at any point where I am on this earth. I want to be able to do this in a very flexible way and support my clients. So the advice that I would give to someone that's younger than myself, and let's just say a lot younger, there's a couple of things. Number one, when an opportunity knocks on your door, it happens for a reason. someone else outside of yourself sees potential in you and would like to have that potential with them and their business, their company, whatever. And I find often enough that if someone, a young person, doesn't have the esteem yet to understand that opportunities come knocking and they continue to come knocking when you take them, grab them, walk into the door with them, trip and fall into them, whatever, but you take them. When you take opportunities, they keep coming to you. If you say, oh, you know what? No, thanks. I'm going to wait for the next opportunity, or I'm really not well prepared for this. I can't believe that you asked me. So if you push away opportunities, your opportunities will become less and less. It's an energetic exchange. So I implore you guys, no matter what opportunity really comes to you, and it might be out of left field, but you kind of are looking for something to happen, you never know. Just walk through the door. Everybody is a CEO for the first time on that first day. They don't know how to be a CEO. So if it's a production assistant, or if it's an assistant, or if it's an industry, you might learn that you really never knew about an industry and you loved it. My gosh, I'm so glad I took this opportunity. Or you might learn that you are the worst production assistant ever, and you really don't want to be in production because it's long hours and it's not like seeing a movie every day and you have to wait and wait and wait and wait for a scene to be done. Dear God, how great to know that. So I just advise that when an opportunity knocks, go ahead and take it, and don't be afraid of getting people coffee, getting their dry cleaning. Just don't be used, but take the experience. Take the experience and run. The advice I give someone who's looking into becoming a coach or wanting to become a coach, or have always wanted to coach but didn't really know what the first step was, is get into classes. Do the certification. No matter what background you have, or no matter how many people that have told you, oh, you don't need classes, you're so good to talk to, you're charismatic, you're this, you're that. That's lovely. Say thank you, but get yourself into classes, because giving yourself some structure, learning more about yourself, becoming vulnerable with your classmates, um, there are so many lessons to be learned that you're going to be so grateful that you have the structure to lean upon. And I think also, because coaching is not therapy, you're not going to be treading into uncharted territory that is really dangerous for the client. You want to know where your boundaries are. You really, really do. You also are not a counselor, and you're not going to be taken advantage as, oh, you're going to be hired as a coach, but then you get pressed for all this information as a consultant, where you could be making very, very, very good money as a consultant. And you can as well as a coach, but you don't want to get these lines blurred. So once you go through the classes, you understand exactly what your role is, and you can't go wrong. If you're a coach and you get into, and you are in business and you're a manager, learning how to be a coach with your employees or the people that you're managing will only allow a better flow of communication and understanding with the people that you're working with. So I encourage, if you have a feeling or an inkling, or you have that intuition that's saying, why don't you take some coaching classes? Don't deny it. Go for it. Coaching has impacted my life in a couple of ways. I'm listening more. Really. I was talking way too much, and I was trying to explain myself when I didn't have to. And I'm finding that, listen, I'm not perfect and I still talk a hell of a lot, but it's teaching me to listen and to see, not only to listen or hear what people are saying, but see what they're saying, meaning their body language, their intonations of their voice. And there's a lot more going on than the words that they're using. And also with a 19-year-old daughter who is home from college, trying to figure out life and doesn't need mom, who normally would not be in her life every single hour of every single day, to be trying to fix things. So it's been really helpful during this time, during this very interesting time of all of our lives around the world, especially for us in my home with a young person trying to figure out what her next steps are, to listen and to ask questions. It takes me off the hook of trying to figure it out, which I think a lot of moms try and do, like being a good mom, you help your kids not feel badly. Well, you can't really not help them feel badly, but you can actually ask some questions that will help them answer their own questions, you know? So it's been really personal. And it's also getting some friends to go, "You're not telling me what to do anymore." I go, "Oh, a little bit. Sometimes it comes out. I'm sorry." So it's been fun. It's been eye-opening. What I learned through my training at Coach Training EDU is be compassionate and be vulnerable, and to be able to hold space with others. You have to do that with yourself first, and that was not what I was expecting at all. And a lot of the concepts I've lived and experienced, but to see how and why it can affect another human being, and to have that laid out in all the chapters, and then the questions that, sometimes having the right question is like the $1 million deal. If you ask a right question, that might trigger somebody to just go and unravel themselves, like, oh my gosh, and having someone holding the space while you're doing that, knowing they're not going to go away, knowing that you've paid for them to be there, sometimes really, really well. And you don't have people holding space silently for you. So I'm learning that the time that you have with the client is really sacred. Um, and you're not better, and you clearly get that out of the way in the very beginning. To be able to almost like have an orchestra of life in that hour, where there's a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and then it comes together in a crescendo, or a calming, like a settling at the end. Sometimes you really are caught up in a whirlwind, and it's a little scary because you don't know which end is up or down. But having faith in this process of just like, not making assumptions and being compassionate and being vulnerable, allowing the vulnerability because you've done so much work on your own. That's what I've learned. That's what I've learned. My coach training through Coach Training EDU absolutely was a pivotal point in my starting my business. I wasn't going to start a coaching business without having coach training underneath my belt and accreditation to show, period. I was not going to go forward. And I'm on a track. So Wellness 1, Wellness 2, business, mentoring, and going to my PCC, my professional coach certification with the ICF, the International Coaching Federation. So I am with the right place, and I'm being prepared for, and the school and the ICF are aligned very well, and they're in tandem with one another. So I won't have any surprises when I take my test, and I'm confident that I'll be getting my PCC once I get my 500 hours in the bag. Well, right now, right here and now, my daughter is 19 years old, and the decisions that I make revolve around my being a role model, as well as the other women that are leading in front of me, are paving the path, and the men that really are the support underneath the wings of the women that are working hard out there, um, and also the male leaders um, that are not afraid of the multitasking opportunities that women bring to the table, and the great power of smart, healing, inclusive women. There's so many people that fall into these places, but it's never just women that inspire me. It's also men that are so sure of themselves that they want the best people to be working with them, right next to them. Um, I wish my mom was around. She taught me to work hard. She died when I was 15. And when I was living in New York City with her, she held down 2 jobs so that we could stay living in New York City. And she did not complain. And she always came home with those Chuckles candies, one of them in her pocket. And I remember always taking a look and finding that. But she made me feel very special and did not complain that she was working so hard. So I think the work ethic and that role model in my life was very, very influential.